Hello, and welcome to the WHSS Discussion Series on Steps to Gaining Housing. My name is Dan Mills, and I am the Housing Navigator. Today, we're going to discuss what to ask during a housing tour. But first, before you schedule a tour, remember that this is your first chance to make a good impression. So be prepared. Try to schedule the tour at a time that's convenient for you and the landlord. And if there are other adults in the household that'll want to see the unit, talk about this ahead of time and figure out a plan for everyone involved to be available. If you're able to, it's a good idea to drive or walk by the property before you schedule a tour of the unit. This will give you an idea of what the housing is like, what the neighborhood is like, and try to check it out at different times if you're able, so you have a better understanding of that neighborhood at various times. So let's get into what to ask during the housing tour itself. First, dress for an interview, because it is one. Get there early. 10 minutes is a good rule. And smile. Try to call the person showing the unit by name. Don't complain about anything, not your old place, not your current landlord, anything. Try to keep this positive. Take notes. Bring a pad of paper to write things down and even sketch the rough layout of the apartment. If you have oversized furniture, be sure to bring a tape measure to measure the doors and the rooms. And check out the outlets, the lights, sinks, shower, bathroom exhaust fans, windows and doors, the heat and AC, just to make sure everything works. And be sure to ask permission from the person showing the unit first. Some questions that you should ask during the tour that I recommend. Ask how much is the rent. Even if you already know this, it's still a good idea to confirm it. What are the options for paying rent? Is it an online portal with a portal fee that you have to pay? Is it auto pay, a check or money order, or do they prefer you to use mail or cash and in-person payments? And how do you get rent receipts? Other questions: what are the lease terms? Is it a one-year lease, month to month? And what happens after the lease is up? What are the non-standard lease provisions? We don't think about these, but there's a lot of things that fall into that category. And who is responsible for lawn care, snow removal, and the garbage? What utilities are included? And if they're not, ask what the average utility cost is for the unit. If the landlord doesn't have it, the utility company will. Are there any additional fees that are not included in the rent? Examples of this might be that tenant portal fee, any payment fees or parking fees, any required insurance, or any additional fees that might be added, like if you added an window air conditioner unit or pets. And specifically, what is the pet policy? And if you don't plan on getting a pet, make sure you say so. What is the guest policy is another great question, because some landlords have restrictions on this. And be sure to ask how many overnights a guest can stay, and do you need prior approval of any guests before they visit your unit? And if you think you might need to add a roommate at some point, be sure to ask if this is possible. Don't assume anything. Make sure you ask. Other questions to ask: do they require renter's insurance? And how secure is the property? Were there any recent break-ins or any other local crimes, any neighborhood complaints, or any other concerns that you should be aware of before accepting a unit? And how often do the rents increase? And be sure to ask when the last rent increase happened and how much it was. This will give you an idea of what to expect at the end of your lease. And what is the parking situation? And don't forget to ask, does it change in the winter? If there are any additional storage units available, this will help with costs if you have a lot of stuff, and how do you contact the property manager and maintenance. And if transportation is a challenge, be sure to ask where the nearest grocery store, school, maybe transit stops, laundromats, or other businesses that you need to access, where they are. Are there any discounts or offers on the apartment? Great question to ask, because some landlords offer discounts and they may put that on their website, but they don't come out and tell you unless you ask. And lastly, be sure to ask how soon the unit will be ready to move in and how long it takes to get approval on applications. And if you haven't already completed an application, make sure you get one. And be sure to ask if you need separate applications for each adult and what documents you need to submit with the application. And always thank them for taking the time to show you the unit, and make sure you have correct contact information for you and for them. That would include the landlord's name, the person who showed the unit, a phone number that you can call or text, and an email if possible. After the tour, it's nice to follow up with a text or email either later that day or the very next morning, after the showing, and thank them for taking the time again to meet with you and show you the unit. And if you're interested in the unit, say so and offer any additional information, any documents or references that may help you get approved. Also, ask any follow-up questions that you may have that you forgot to ask during the tour. If you're not interested in the unit, it's okay to say so. Thank them and ask them if they have other units available that would better meet your needs. Be positive. And if you got a feeling that that landlord had a concern about something addressed during that tour, reassure them. We talked about this on a prior video on letters of explanation, so check that one out. And use the positive things that you've done to address any concerns that that landlord may have and what you're working on now to correct them. Offer additional references like the employers, past and present, any neighbors, caseworkers, or anyone that can confirm that you would be a good tenant. And once you've applied for the unit, it's a good idea to contact the landlord 2 or 3 days later and check on the status of your application. Be sure to write down that interaction along with any notes that you have about the unit, or better yet, contact the unit via email or text if possible. If the landlord uses a screening tool or a third-party company to do the background checks and reference checks, it may take 2 or 3 business days to get an answer, so don't stress over it. Offer any additional references that you may have, or better yet, send copies of written references that you got earlier. And if you didn't watch Cassandra's video on references, take a few minutes before you apply and watch that to better understand what a good reference for housing applications might be. Good luck, and thanks for watching.